We have a long way to go, but we are on the way.
I do not look upon these United States as a finished product. We are still in the making. Franklin Roosevelt.
My heart gets a chill, I feel such a thrill, my feet won't keep...
The stock market crash of 1929 was the start of the Great Depression that lasted for 10 years. It formed the biggest financial crisis of the 20th century. The stock market crash had a large impact on the U.S. as well as other world's economies. Workers were getting laid off due to the fact that businesses and companies weren't able to pay their workers. Needless to say, unemployment rose greatly, banks were failing, and the money supply declined daily.
The stock market crash of 1929 was basically the beginning of the Great Depression. 2% of Americans, Wall Street investors, and banks all owed money. Banks were closing and the economy was paralyzed. There was no lending going on and everybody's savings were lost. People began to hoard their gold and stash their money in their homes. The government didn't know how to handle this crash, and the Fed ended up raising interest rates, which meant even less loaning, and businesses were down. There were tons of layoffs and pay cuts. Work hours were reduced, and many businesses just simply couldn't afford to stay open, and they closed down. President Hoover was still in office as this was going on, and he wasn't exactly doing much to help. Hoover bills were created. There were about 150 evictions a day. Someone died of starvation every 7 hours, and there were fights and riots breaking out. Hoover believed that the economy would fix itself without any help, and he thought that the money would trickle down from the corporations and upper class to the poor. Of course, since Hoover wasn't doing much to help with the Great Depression, America wanted a change. When it came time for the election of 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a Democrat, won more than 57% of the popular vote.
The people liked Roosevelt because he spoke to them as friends and he was very optimistic. In his fireside chats, he opened with "my friends," establishing a closeness with the American people that no other president had achieved before. He had this
Franklin wanted cheaper electric power, conservation, and old age pensions. He saw the need for balancing the country's budget. After the election, Roosevelt wasn't inaugurated for 4 months, leaving more time for the economy to get deeper into the dumps. President Roosevelt had a big job ahead of him.
My heart gets a chill, I feel such a thrill, my feet won't keep still when they swing that music. Rhythm like that puts me in a trance. You can't blame me for wanting to dance. From what I understand,
after Roosevelt was sworn into office, he started sending many bills through to Congress. This period was known as the first 100 days. Though Roosevelt pushed through many bills, none of the bills during the 100 days fixed the Depression. He had good intentions, and his goal was to get the country and the economy back up and running. Though none of the 15 bills Congress passed fixed the Depression, he had a role in pulling the economy back together. Roosevelt's first 100 days in office were the beginning of his New Deals.
I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people. Franklin Roosevelt.
The New Deal was made to help the people and the economy from the top down. From the New Deal came many economic programs. From the Agricultural Adjustment Act, which was created to regulate the amount of crops a farmer had, to the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was created to give the unemployed jobs doing things such as planting trees. The second New Deal was more focused on ending the Great Depression and helping the economy from the bottom up. It was created to get people at the bottom to start spending money again. The Works Progress Administration gave millions of jobs doing construction to the unemployed. One of the biggest programs created was the National Labor Relations Act of 1935, which gave workers the right to unionize without getting in trouble from management. Overall, Franklin Roosevelt was a great president. Today, he is known as one of our greatest presidents. FDR always had the people on his mind, and he did all that he could to help them. He was constantly writing and passing bills, trying to bring the economy out of the Great Depression. FDR served 3 full terms and then died 3 months into his 4th term in office. He didn't always know what he was doing, so most of his programs were experiments. They didn't always work, but some of them are still being used today. From his personality and relationships with the people to his economic programs, he has left a legacy that we will always remember.
My promises to you, both before and after March 4th, I made 2 things plain. First, that I pledged no miracles, and second, that I would do my best. I thank you for your faith. Our troubles will not be over tomorrow, but we are on our way.